Good evening. My name is Erin Coates, and I'd like to introduce our next guests, Neil and Connor Loyd. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Neil, would you like to tell us a little bit about Connor and your family?
Absolutely. So, like I said, I'm Neil, and I have the honor and the privilege of being Connor's dad. And so this is my son, Connor. Connor, how old are you?
5.
Yeah, and are you about to be? Do you have a special birthday or anything coming up? When's your birthday?
November 25th.
Yeah. So we are currently planning for Connor's 6th birthday because it's less than a month away now. So we're really excited about that. And Gavin or Connor, what grade are you in?
Kindergarten.
That's wonderful. So we know that that Connor has recovered from cancer. So what was your first indication that there was something wrong with Connor?
Absolutely. So as we said, so Connor's about to turn 6. So this journey started about 3 years ago, just weeks after Connor's 3rd birthday. We actually, we're planning for another birthday. And 3 years ago, we had just had a big birthday party for him. All his friends were there and everything. And so about 2 weeks later, on December 11th, is when we found out. And so the night before, Connor started running a temperature and just was, lethargic and just wasn't feeling himself. We were actually out at dinner and Connor laid in my lap. And so we're like, oh, great, he's getting sick. So we'll end up at the pediatrician tomorrow, I'm sure, because this was a Sunday night. And when he laid down on my lap, I could feel his face, like, and his temperature through like my jeans. And I was like, man, he's really, heating up. And so we kind of wrapped up dinner real quick, got the check and took him home. And then about the time we got home, he said, okay, my throat hurts. And we're like, okay, this is standard. We'd had strep throat between him or his older brother, probably half a dozen times over, our course of our lives. And so like, we'll take him to the pediatrician and he'll get us antibiotics and we'll be good. And so the next morning we scheduled the appointment. Our pediatrician got us in immediately and we showed the signs or we told him about that. But Connor had also had some marks on his neck, which we later found out was petechiae. And so we showed him that. And then just he had a bunch of bruises on his legs as well. But he's all boy, he'd been at 3 moon bounce parties and Chick-fil-A playgrounds. So, and him and his brother had got new swords. And so, they're beating each other with their plastic swords. So we didn't really think anything of it. We expected to walk in and get strep throat. And so obviously when we go to the pediatrician, we just showed him all the different things. Oh, and he'd also had a slight tinge of blood in his snot or, in his mucus. And this was kind of like the weather we're having this week where it was 80 degrees one day and 20 degrees the next day. And so we're like, all this was explainable to us. So fast forward to that next morning, we go to the pediatrician and we kind of show the pediatrician all the little things, from the bruises to the marks on his neck and the fever. And our pediatrician checked him for flu, checked him for strep. And he's like, I don't want to worry you. He's like, but I could do blood work here, but it could be a day or two to get it out. And he's like, but I just all these things together give me some concern. He's like, so if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to send you to the ER and have you get tests so we can know immediately because we'll know within an hour versus a few days. And so that's when he mentioned that, I don't want to freak you out, but there's a slight chance that this is manifesting symptoms of leukemia. And so I want to rule that out. And so, he's like, I think if anything, he's got like a blood infection or or going to need some super antibiotics for, some kind of other type of infection. And so we my wife called me and she's like, I think we need to go to the ER. And I was about to go to lunch with some coworkers. And I was like, oh, okay, well, kind of let me know, how it goes. And then, a minute or two later, I called her back. I'm like, at that point I canceled lunch. And I was like, they're going to the ER. We've never done that actually, as parents. And so I was like, I need to be there. And so we all met. My mom met us up there and Leah. And, so we're up there. The doctors and the nurses, you could tell like kind of the fear and the look in their face about it, just with all the symptoms and stuff. And so it was packed in the waiting room and they told us to go wait like in the hall or in our car. And then next thing you know, they got us a room and then things kind of escalated quickly. They'd sent an IV, they took his blood. And then next thing you know, about an hour later, we were told that, they couldn't officially diagnose this, but that his white blood count was extremely high and they were really nervous that it was leukemia. And so it kind of at that point, like everything went gray and things drastically changed.
So what type of cancer actually was he diagnosed with?
Yeah, so they told us, there that they thought it would be leukemia, and they told us we were immediately being admitted because we thought we'd go home or set an appointment. They're like, no, you're going upstairs, the 10th floor, and you're being admitted lately or immediately. The doctors then came in that night and they said, this is for sure going to be a leukemia diagnosis. And then they explained at that point that they're like, you're going to be here in the hospital for approximately 5 days to 5 months. And we're like, well, that's quite a range. And they said, we have to do a bunch of testing. He'll start a port, or he'll have surgery tomorrow to start a port, or to get a port placed so they can infuse chemo via his port. And they said during that surgery that they would do a bone marrow biopsy where they took the bone marrow. There is where they got the true diagnosis, and they could do more of a microanalysis of that. And they said at that point it would either be ALL or AML. And so within a day, we had determined it was ALL or acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about how you found out about the Mack Impact and about his experience? I know I was there that day, but just go ahead and tell everybody this evening kind of how you found out about us and what his experience was.
Absolutely. So we kind of knew about Mack Impact, and more so we knew Jason and Nikki and Mackenzie. We share a photographer. So our photographers did a lot of work with the Asher family, and she did a really cool photo shoot for Mackenzie. And so we followed her through being just a customer of that. And then when we were first diagnosed via our photographer, I think she connected with Nikki. And so Nikki and I spoke online via Facebook Messenger, and Nikki was a godsend to us. She provided us a list of resources and connected us with people. And so we first started following them there and kind of connected. And then just as the Mack Impact momentum grew, and as you guys got that off the ground, we kind of followed it from day one, from just, connecting with Nikki early on. And then as the experiences were starting to come underway, Nikki reached out to us and was asking, kind of what kind of experience. And we were really racking our brain with what to do, because, a lot of people had done some really cool things for us. And then my wife and I were just in the process of, seeing the end, planning Connor's bell ringing, and a lot of people had done so much for us. And so we wanted to do just a family inclusion, just bring everyone together that had supported us. And so I think I was in the process of inviting Nikki and Jason to come. And I was like, yeah, we're going to plan this party, but we don't really know yet. And I said, I don't really know what experience to do for him, and he doesn't know. And so come to the party and we'll think about it. And she goes, you're planning the party? And I'm like, yeah, I think we are. We don't really know yet. And she says, well, that sounds stressful. And I'm like, well, of course it's going to be, but we have to do it. And she's like, let me just throw you guys a party. Then you don't have to think. And I was like, man, is this my experience or Connor's? Because she threw the party, and it was the most amazing thing. So we gave her a few ideas. I mean, she asked like 3 or 4 questions, and then off to the races. We showed up. I think we invited 100 of our friends and family and people that have supported us along the way. And then there we were. And the Mack Impact threw us the most amazing party. It was 2 weeks after we rang the bell. So it was kind of that punctuation from living a 2.5-year cancer world journey.
We're actually broadcasting from the same place that we had Connor's party, which is kind of unique. So we are so excited that you guys enjoyed your Mack Impact experience, and we are hoping to be able to do lots more for other kids out there. So I'm going to send it back to the studio, and thank you, Neil and Connor, for joining us this evening.
All right, thank you. We appreciate having us.
Bye.
Bye.